If you cough at any point during the episode, then tomorrow during our movie, I get to order cookies.
You're going to do that anyway if you want it.
If I want it, but...
Vow, view, vow, view, vow, view, vow, view, vow to view, vow, 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 vow to view,
vow to view each other's movies, even though we don't always like them, but it's okay because we love each other and movies too.
Hey everyone, welcome to Vow to View. It has been a while and we're glad to be back at this Daily Planet podcast all about marriage and the things we make each other watch. My name is, of course, Elyse Daly.
And I'm Scott Daly.
And together,
we're the Dailies. What did you do?
I don't know. For some reason,
we were on such a roll. We take 1 week off.
I forgot when to come in for it. I'm not going to lie. I forgot.
I'm devastated.
It's okay.
We're back.
We get over it. You see, you're already over it.
Yeah.
We got quick bounce back. That's my bounce back noise.
That's your one more time for me.
And you gotta have
what are you doing with your hand?
I don't know, but it's a bounce back motion.
We are back. We took last week off. We were on vacation. We're going to talk
took it off.
all about that in the Rose and the Thorn section, which is where we talk about the good things that happen to us and the bad things that happen to us.
Yeah.
And then we're going to get into this week's movies, where we got 2 movies about road trips, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, they drive in a car a lot.
They drive.
Mine.
I mean, mine is.
It's not like
specifically
yours is a road
trip.
trip. Mine is more of they just spend a lot of time in the car.
So, would you say that once again, I have picked an on-theme movie, and you have very loosely interpreted the theme?
I would say once again, I've done what I wanted to do.
That's exactly my point.
Yep, I do what I do.
So Elyse is talking
do
about
what I do, what I want to do.
1980s.
Do what I do.
Okay. Elyse is talking about 1980s Blues Brothers, and I am talking about 1995's Tommy Boy.
But that's later.
Yeah. But first, we've got one big thing to do.
Yes.
Elyse, what do we have to talk about?
We got a lot of barf that we got to get.
What are we going to talk about?
The Bachelorette. Yeah, so we
2
are...
2 weeks worth. I got it. No, because there's 2 weeks. There's got to be more throw up.
Okay.
This is 2 weeks worth.
Get it all out. Get it all out.
That really hurt my throat.
Are you done?
It really hurt my throat.
Get a drink. It's okay. So we've got 2 weeks to talk about, and we also only have 2 weeks left of this season, thankfully, of The Bachelorette.
Christ.
But then we have Bachelor in Paradise, so we're not done with The Bachelor barf at all. Yeah.
So it's never ending.
It's never ending. And that show, remember, it usually airs on Monday and Tuesday nights. So it's a really good one.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're jumping ahead in time here, but
yeah. So Scott really doesn't watch these with me. He just comments on it right now.
So Elyse made me watch The Bachelorette when we first started dating, and I would do a blog on it. Like I would do a dude's minute by minute recap of being forced to watch The Bachelor for the first time.
It was so good.
You can check those out at dailyplanetfilms.com.
And you really should. You'll get a good laugh, especially if you watch the season.
But then a thing called Bachelor in Paradise came on. And Elyse made me watch that, and the plan was, no, you should blog about that too. And I watched the first episode of that, and I wrote a blog post that was basically I can't watch.
I think it's kind of hard in order to.
I can't do it.
To write about that. I think how you did the other one.
Here's what I'm saying. Here's my point. When we get to Bachelor in Paradise, I think I'm just gonna, for my section of The Bachelorette, I think I'm just gonna read that blog post because I think.
Oh, okay. Every time.
No.
Oh,
just the
first time.
The first time, because I think it's beautiful. I think the word some of my best writing. I think.
Okay.
So, you've got that to look forward to, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue with your nonsense.
Okay, so we have 2 different weeks. The first week was hometown dates,
and I didn't watch this one at all for reasons we will get into.
Yes. So
in a bit.
Garrett's hometown date was first. He owns a family ag business, and they went to go plant tomatoes in the field, and they were talking about how when they have kids, they're going to use child labor and make them, all go plant tomatoes. They planted a rose bush so he could always give her roses. And she always says that he reminds her of her dad.
Ew.
And yeah, I was going to see what you thought about that. It's in every single like off camera thing. She's like, he reminds me so much of my dad. He just,
gross.
All these other things, it's just so much of my dad. And
I love my dad.
Yeah.
My dad's great. I don't want to be exactly like my dad.
Yeah.
How would you feel if I said you remind me of my mom? And I love my mom. Mm-hmm. My mom's great. Mm-hmm. I don't want to marry my mom.
No.
That's gross.
It's weird.
It's really weird.
It's really weird.
It's really weird.
Yeah. So that's about that.
That's some Freudian shit that I don't want to deal with.
And
so she cut him. She cut him. Gone.
No.
No?
No, she kept Garrett. The thing with Garrett is I don't really know his IQ.
These are so many notes.
I know, but I'm not doing the whole thing.
Oh my God. Guys, there's pages
I know,
of notes.
Scott always is like, she doesn't ever take notes. Okay, so here's my thing with Garrett. So I feel like Garrett and Becca work really well together because they both are very easy to manipulate, and I don't think that either of them have a very high intelligence. And I think that she reminds me of the type of girl that like never had to make a decision on anything and was just always like kind of on the outskirts and never stood up for herself. And so that's why like it kind of makes me sad when she's in a lot of things this season, especially like what happens at the end of this episode. But it just, it's there's the whole sense of her still. It's just because she just has no personality.
Lame. She's awful. She's awful.
Absolutely no personality. So that was Garrett, which is good because Garrett just goes and plants tomatoes and he's a happy little farmer man. So then we have Jason, and
is that like hair slick back 80s businessman guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Jason takes her to go eat wings, chicken wings, and then ice skating for hockey.
Jesus.
Yeah.
These are
and then because it's in Buffalo, New York, so it's like buffalo wings. So it's like, are you gonna eat ranch with your wings, or are you gonna have buffalo sauce? And they're all like, oh, you better pick the buffalo sauce, because if she doesn't pick the buffalo sauce, then there's no way she's ever gonna be with you, because she can't be in Buffalo, New York, and pick buffalo or ranch.
You know what?
It's
don't want to be in Buffalo, New York.
And you know what? Ranch is better. Ranch is the best.
No, ranch is gross, but
ranch is good. Anyways, at the end, he tells her that he loves her, and that's that. Then there's Blake. Blake goes to his high school because his mom worked there, so he spent a lot of time there. He obviously probably hit his peak in high school by the looks of
Which one is
him.
this? Is this one of the guys that looks exactly like all the other guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. That helps.
He shared that at his school, his senior year, there was actually a school shooting. And he was in the library, and it was like a really scary time, which, like, I think that is definitely something that is impactful. But I feel bad because I think that the way that they cut it, maybe it's just a thing that I have with her again. But the way that they like had the whole conversation come about and her reaction to it seemed really strange. So I don't know. It was like something that I know is important and probably meant a lot to him, but I think that either the way that they presented it in the show or just the way that they forced him, the producers probably told him to tell her the story and he didn't want to, he wasn't ready for it. And they were like, no, you got to tell her. It's the perfect time. You're going to be in the school. It's going to be what really like touched you. It's going to bring her closer together with you. So you got to tell her now. And he was probably like, okay, yeah, that's fine. So anyways, he did it. And then there was the Betty Who concert in the auditorium, and I'm either just like really out of the loop with the music scene right now because I have no idea who Betty Who is. Do you know who Betty Who is?
Nope.
Okay.
But I'm supposed to be out of the loop with music. I'm an old man. What is your excuse? You're in your 20s still. You. And then we've got Colton, and Colton takes her to Children's Hospital to go visit kids that are sick. What a guy.
Which is really sweet. But it, it's just publicity for his nonprofit, which great. I'm glad that you have a
That's
nonprofit,
fine.
but
I don't care.
hashtag are you here for the right reasons?
Oh, okay. Come on. Come on.
But basically, like, all of these guys, I've decided, are extremely immature. And not like they just like seem very babied. They just seem like they haven't had a lot of, I guess Blake has had like some experience. I don't know. It's just, they just all, I don't know.
Okay.
It makes me very, like, I don't even care who's the next Bachelor. And you know who is going to be the next Bachelor, because not only,
Hair slick
well,
back guy.
I'm not going to say anything, because if I give it away about who are the final two, because I read the spoilers, I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But basically, all the people that I follow that are in like the whole Bachelor world, their social media, they're like all vying for this one person who I know doesn't get it, and they're like swooning over him. And so I feel like they're just doing that to build up the fact that he's not going to get picked. So then they'll have like America following for them. Because you know what? Who else is getting produced? The people, the watchers. They're trying to produce us. And you know what? I will not be produced.
Elyse watched a whole bunch of Unreal this week, so she's like up on the lingo of The Bachelor.
Yeah. Anyways, so then at the end of that episode,
The episode?
yeah, I don't know. Anyways,
is it-
then at the end of that episode, her friends come and like chill out on the rooftop bar with her, and they're all talking, and then Tia pulls her away, and she's like, "So I know how I told you that it was okay if you had Colton here. Well, I actually still really have feelings for him, and I wanted you to know." And that was basically it. And I was like, number one, first of all, if you'd follow the girl code from the beginning and not dated who your friend has dated, you wouldn't be in this situation. But you know what, Tia? You told her it hadn't really amounted to anything, and so you let her date him. And at this point, sorry, girl, but Colton told Becca that he loves her, and whether he's there for hashtag the right reasons or not, he's totally over you. And so you have no right to go to Becca and say that you don't want her to date him. Because if you really had an issue, you go to the guy, because it's really the guy's decision, and it shouldn't be your friend's decision, because it's just, ugh.
Elyse, you're being produced again.
What?
Tia doesn't actually want to believe any of that. The producers told her to say it because it
I
makes
know.
for better TV.
I know, because they're both going to be on Bachelor in Paradise.
Yeah.
So now it's like, oh, what are they going to do on Bachelor in Paradise?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Colton's not going to be happy with her.
No, this great drama. Look, they're
Yeah.
setting up the next season already.
Yeah. So then
Fucking bullshit.
the next episode was all about their overnights.
Okay, this is something I want to talk about real quick, because this is
Okay.
the weirdest fucking thing in the world.
Okay.
Because do they still call it Fantasy Suite?
Yeah.
It's like the show designated time for you to
Bound to
fuck.
go wow, wow. And if you watch Unreal, happened before then too.
Okay, but that's not my point. The point is that the show says, okay, you've made it to this part of the contest. Now you may all have the sexy time. Here's a key. Go fuck each other.
Yeah.
And it's the weirdest fucking thing in the world, because it's like they got like 6 cameras surrounding them. They get a note from Chris Harrison, who definitely didn't write the notes, because my boy Chris doing the least amount possible.
Yeah.
Is like, if you would wish to continue
or forgo your individual rooms.
rooms
And stay in the
here's a
fantasy
key
suite.
to the fuck suite, where you can have sex, and we won't be in there with the cameras, but we'll know. And then as soon as it's morning, we'll come in, and you'll be like sitting on the bed, like talking about how much you talked last night. Okay.
And it was great
It's
just to get to know him on a deeper level.
With his penis. It's just so strange to me that they have like this designated time where it's like, and like I've seen in other seasons before where they got like pissed off when 2 characters hooked up and it was caught on camera prior to this time, and she's kind of slut shamed for it, because it's
Yeah.
like, Oh,
That was Caitlin's
I'm
season.
sorry I did not do this within the designated you're allowed to have sex time. And I did it a few weeks before the designated you're allowed to have sex time. And therefore, I am a terrible person. Man, fuck this show. Fuck it. Are we done?
I guess so.
Did you have anything else?
Well, they were all really boring again.
It's a boring... Like,
It's
this is...
just...
I watched this episode with you.
Yeah.
Boring as fuck.
Well, and then it was like Jason, she sent him home before they even had the overnight date. And then they produced him and brought him back to have a conversation that was absolutely nothing. It was just, I didn't want to leave the door closed. And so I thought I'd come back. And there was no, like him trying to get back on the show.
Yeah.
It was not for that at all. It was just to
It was to pad time. You could tell they're like pulling out every.
Yeah, they're
they
doing
know.
what they can in order to try and make it spicier for the audience, and there's just nothing.
There's nothing. This is like this is a bad show, but even as a bad show, this is
the worst season that
a
they've done in a
awful
very
season.
long time.
It's not, like there's parts of me that finds entertainment out of the really trashiness of the show sometimes. It's just like milk toast this season.
Yeah.
It's just really uninteresting.
Yeah.
It's bad. I can't believe we spent another 10 minutes talking about it.
But you know what would have made it better? Is
What?
if Rachel was behind the scenes. on
Rachel?
that. We watched Unreal.
Rachel?
And if you
Green?
Goldberg.
What?
Goldberg.
Goldberg?
Rachel Goldberg.
I don't know who that
Goldberg.
is.
From Unreal.
Oh.
If she was on the show, she would bring the drama. She would make stuff happen.
I feel like you took the wrong lesson from that television show, Elise.
What?
It's not good.
It's great. I love it.
We watched, I think, 2 seasons of Unreal.
The 3rd and 4th season are both on Hulu, and the 4th season is the last in the whole series. So
didn't
all
make
4
it.
seasons are on Hulu.
I didn't make it. I was going to try to do a whole episode without coughing, and I
Looks
didn't.
like
I
I
didn't make
get
it.
one item of clothing tomorrow.
I did not agree to this.
Mm-hmm.
Elise,
Or cookies. Either one.
we're done with The Bachelorette.
Yeah, so next week is the Men Tell All, which
We're
it'll
not
mean
gonna
Jordan's
do
back.
it. Jesus, that's the worst episode of the whole thing. It's just, hey, get all the dudes back and have them yell at each other for an hour, two.
Too.
All right. Every rose has its thorn.
Just like?
Every night has its dawn. Every cowboy sings a sad song. Every rose has its thorn.
You've got glitter on you.
Why?
I don't know, but you've got glitter on your collar. It's been sparkling, and you've got one in your beard, too.
It's probably yours.
Well, I would hope so.
Hey, Elise. It's time for Rose and Thorn.
Yeah.
Talking about the good things and the
Yeah.
bad things that happened to us in the last week.
Yeah. So my good things that happened this week.
Yeah, go first. What is your rose?
So we went on vacation, and
Where'd we go?
we went to quite a few places. We started by going to Denver, and then we went up to Estes Park, and then we went over to, we stayed in Edwards, but it was the Vail area, and then we finished up in Colorado Springs.
That's true.
Yes, but in Edwards and then also in Vail are 2 of my favorite places ever. Like if I'm talking about my favorite bookshop, my favorite bookstore ever is in Edwards, Colorado. And I loved that the place that we stayed was just, like feet's distance away from it. That was
Feet's
amazing.
distance. Literal feet.
Yeah.
Like probably like 20 of them.
Yeah. And so we got to go there.
Well, you haven't said the name of the bookstore.
Oh, it's the Bookworm. The Bookworm of Edwards.
There you go. Bookworm
is-
of Edwards.
It is an amazing bookshop. And I think it's really small, but it's one of
It's
those
not that
independent ones that does a really good job of the people that work there, like showcasing books, and they do a lot of recommendations, and they've got this book concierge service, and they've got, they do a lot of events there. And it's just like, it's a community and not just a bookstore. And I think that, like our big places that we have here, big bookstores lose that, and they're trying to get it back a little bit. I know Barnes and Noble is now doing the book club, and we've got our independent one here, but it's my all-time favorite. And so we got to go there. We bought lots of books.
How many books did we buy there, Elyse?
How many did I buy? I bought like 3.
No.
4. I bought 4.
Yes.
Because I bought 3 the first time, and then I went back and bought 1 more because the children's books that I wanted were not all there. So I just got 1 more book for me. And then I don't know how many you got. You probably got like 7.
666.
You got 6. So we
Books
bought 10
of the
books.
Demon.
Yeah.
I bought a lot of books.
Yeah. We tend to do that. But we got to read a lot too over the trip, which was fun.
Not as much as I wanted.
I got to read a lot more than you, and we'll get into that later as to why. But yeah, so we got to go to my favorite bookstore, and we also got to go to my all-time favorite restaurant, and we had dinner there at Sweet Basil, and we had a delicious dinner.
We got no sweet basil anywhere in our
Yeah, we didn't have
meal.
any basil, but we had
very
some delicious
disappointing.
tomatoes. I had some great salmon, followed by a really good sticky toffee pudding.
I had some shellfish, because when you think Colorado, you think shellfish.
It's true. It's amazing, those shellfish that they just can catch in the river right outside.
Well, that sounds like a rather lovely vacation, Elyse.
Yes, it
I'm
was
sure
great.
nothing went wrong.
Nothing at all.
Yeah.
What was the good thing with you?
I went on vacation.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, me too.
So weird.
We should have tried to figure out how to meet up or something.
It just wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
So yeah, we went. As one of the stops you listed was Estes Park, which
You were at Estes Park too.
okay. The joke it's gone. The bit, we're done with the bit. Move on.
Oh man.
So we stayed at the Stanley Hotel, which is
Yes.
where Stephen King got the idea.
Not where it was filmed. Where Dumb and Dumber was filmed.
Yeah, Stephen King. Can I finish?
Yeah, I just wanted to let him know. Sorry.
It's where the miniseries was filmed.
I did not know that.
They just used exterior shots, but and so he stayed at this hotel, and this is where he got the idea for The Shining. He stayed in room 217, which for the movie was changed to 237, so people would not assume that
There were actual ghosts
in the room. Yeah. But if you ask anyone at this hotel, room 217 is clearly haunted. They will say it definitely. It's a haunted hotel.
They will say anything.
Yeah, so we stayed at this hotel, and we were thinking of doing like a tour while we were there, and then I noticed a night ghost tour. So it's a ghost tour that starts at 9:30 at night, and I was like, oh, fuck yeah. So we did that, and is the most fun, but also the dumbest thing ever. We get this tour guy who's been working there for 4 weeks, and he starts the tour by saying, all right, where are my believers at? And like 5 people raised their hand. And then it was like, oh, so the rest of y'all are non-believers? And we're like, yeah, I don't believe in ghosts.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I was that way too. And then I started working here. And then like the whole tour, so you're going from different areas. There's supposed to be like high concentration ghost sightings, whatever. And then he'll just like come around and show you photos on his cell phone of ghosts that people have. And it's like, look, these people took a picture in front of a mirror with the flash on. And look at all these figures in the mirror.
Check out my cool photoshopping skills.
No, it wasn't even Photoshop. It's just like when you shoot a bright light at a mirror with a
Yeah.
reflective surface, it's going to catch all the
And
other
that is what he
people
told us,
standing in
too.
the room.
They were asking about, like, well, what's the best way to take a picture in here? If I want to really try and capture a spirit, what should I do? And he said, well, you know what I do is if I'm taking a picture in front of a mirror, then I really use a flash because it's able to pick up some things. But everywhere else, I don't use the flash. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, and he had all the stories about the different ghosts in each place. I forget one of them. There was like a guy named Joe that was shoveling snow or something, and he died shoveling snow.
And there was a kid.
And there was a picture of a man standing in front of another man, and he had snow gear on. It's like, why is he wearing that? It's the middle of the summer. And it's just like, look, it's all dumb, but it's dumb in like a fun kind of way. And you're doing like the stupid pencil trick, which is something I've never seen before, but it's basically like a Ouija board. It's the same concept. You like 2 people hold 2 pencils together, touching eraser tips, and like which way the pencils bend is the ghost saying yes or no. But it's like you're just like putting pressure on the thing at different variables so they move. It's all nonsense and stupid.
But you loved it.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, first of all, it was cool to just see a tour of a lot of the places we went to are places that are roped off that you cannot just wander around in. So we wouldn't have gotten to see these areas of the hotel. And there was a cool American flag that they said was from I think it was the Iraq War, an Iraqi war vet who really loved the hotel, donated the flag to the Stanley Hotel, and now like a faded image is appearing in the flag, and the face in the faded image appears to be that of Mr. Stanley, original proprietor of the hotel. It's just like a stain on the flag. Like we're good at recognizing faces and stuff. That's what humans do. It's silly, but I had a great time, and that's
good. I'm glad that you had such a great time before.
Hey, Elyse.
Yeah.
What's our thorn?
So we had such a high after the Stanley Hotel.
I mean, we were in Colorado.
No,
so
we did not.
We had a couple highs, if you know what I mean.
No, we didn't.
It hurts my throat.
I can't help it. So we left Estes Park. We went to Edwards. We went to the bookshop. We got some books. We started reading. And then that night, Scott went to sleep.
No, it was before I went to sleep. We were sitting on the couch.
We got the pizza. Feel good.
We got the pizza. We were sitting on the couch. We were watching Sharp Objects. Great show. And then all of a sudden, didn't feel good.
So
did not feel
Scott
good.
goes to bed. I go to bed. And then in the middle of the night, Scott wakes me up. And I don't know how long he'd been up beforehand.
The entire night.
But was convinced that he had a brain aneurysm or something was wrong with his head because it hurt that badly. And
my
was
head
so
felt
freaked
like it was
out
going to
about
explode.
Like, I got really scared. And he had a fever. It was just, he was shaking. It was awful.
And that
we thought he had altitude sickness, but it ended up being something.
It was an upper
much worse than that.
Well, no.
Well,
it was an upper respiratory infection.
I think it was probably something else too.
Got some bacteria in my respiratory tract, and it infected it.
So basically, he had a fever for almost a week. He had
I was
a headache
sick from
for
Wednesday
a week.
Until Tuesday.
Yeah,
and I'm still not 100%, as you've heard me coughing in the background.
Yeah. So some of our plans had to be changed, but that's okay because Colorado is a very accessible place. And so if we want to go back and do those things, it's just a road trip away.
It's just not very fun. And like you said, I thought it was altitude sickness for a while. So
we thought we could just get the...
I was embarrassed for it being altitude sickness because we weren't that high up. We were like at 8,300 feet or something like that. That's where Vail is, 8,300 feet.
Yeah.
That's not that high up. So I was partially embarrassed. Like I should not be getting this altitude sickness from this height. That's ridiculous. Thank God it wasn't that. It makes me feel a lot better. But yeah, it would just like it went this range of stuff. And of course you like will look stuff up on WebMD and you've convinced yourself you got something way worse than you did.
Scott thought he had a brain aneurysm. He thought he had fluid in his lungs.
A brain aneurysm.
You were worried you had one. You were like, it hurts. So you told me that.
No, I did not say aneurysm.
Yes, you did.
I did not.
Yes, you did.
I did not.
Your head must have hurt so bad you forgot.
Okay. Yeah, and then I was convinced there was liquid in my lungs because it really felt like it. Like the amount of air I got from each inward breath seemed to go less and less, even as we started going down in altitude. But yeah, it knocked me out the whole time. I mean, we were supposed to meet up with one of our listeners. I had to cancel that because I just was not in the shape to do that. We still got to do some stuff. Like, I'm not going to say we didn't get to do stuff, but man, it was rough.
I mean, we got there Wednesday. We spent a little bit of time around the little town or whatever. We bought the books, thankfully, because Thursday we went to breakfast and then you were doing so poorly that we just went home and you slept literally the whole day.
The whole day.
And I just read.
Yeah.
And that's how I know that Scott's actually sick, because if Scott sleeps during the day, then you know that something's off with him because he doesn't nap. And so that's when
I don't like to nap.
That's when I realized, you know what? He's sick.
But other than that, it was a good trip. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm better now, mostly. And I say we move on.
Okay.
We'll see you soon, Denver, and hopefully I won't get sick.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? Well, me and the Lord, we got an understanding.
We're on a mission from God.
We've got some fun movies to talk about, too.
We do.
We're about some other people that spend some time in the car.
They did, and there was some sickness.
They what?
Some of them got sick. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're not talking into the microphone anymore.
Well, I'm trying to get this to scroll down.
Why don't you just ask me?
Because sometimes I like to do things myself. I'm an independent woman. Some mistake is for hers. But I say, well, I spend mine when I can spend yours. You know what that's from?
Yeah.
What?
It's from the Moulin Rouge song.
Oh, good. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I chose... Now you scrolled too far. Now I can't see my thing. There we go. We're done now. I love you.
Continue.
So I chose the 1980 movie Blues Brothers, The Blues Brothers, excuse me, starring Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi. It was written by Dan Aykroyd and John Landis, and then directed by John Landis.
Who's John Landis, Elyse?
He did The Three Amigos. And
it's
he's
so
Max
funny.
Landis' dad.
It's so funny. Like, Elyse, I love you, but
Yeah.
the idea of you checking out who directors are is such a new experience to you, that like these directors that like Maggie.
That was Maggie.
Shh. These directors that of course I know who John Landis is. He's just done so many different things. American Woman from Paris. Yes, he did The Three Amigos. He's done a bunch of different comedies like this.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, you probably know him because he's Max Landis' dad.
I have no idea who Max Landis is.
Yes, you do.
The name I know. I cannot think of the face. I cannot think of what he's been in that I would know.
He's a writer and a director. Well, he's not a director. He's a writer. He's kind of an obnoxious twit, but
Interesting.
I follow him on Instagram.
Well,
He's fascinating.
The Blues Brothers is about the Blues Brothers, and Jake Blues, he is released from prison. He's trying to put together his old band to save the Catholic home where he and his brother Elwood were raised. And so they travel all around Chicago trying to get the band back together so they can play it at a fundraiser and get enough money to go save the orphanage.
The orphanage.
The orphanage.
All right, Elyse, tell me about this movie. Why did you pick it?
Well, when I think road trips, I think of my dad, because my dad, he drove the whole time, the whole way. And I've said it before a couple times that like during the road trips, we had certain movies we could watch. We took before DVDs were big, we took an old TV that actually had like the VCR attached to it. We put it on a cooler and we got an adapter so that it would have electricity in the car. And we would just watch movies and have like this bag of VHS tapes. And then we did DVDs once that came around. But so whenever I think about road trips, I think about my dad. So then I was thinking about my dad, and I was trying to think about movies that dealt with road trips. And I was thinking about this one because they spend time in the Bluesmobile. So because my dad likes this movie and they drive around a lot in the movie, I think of the Blues Brothers. I put two and two together.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, see, so it worked.
Why do you like this movie so much?
I just think it's really fun. This is a movie that has a lot of music in it, and I really liked the music that they had in it. The artists, I mean, for them to have had Aretha Franklin in there, for them to have had Ray Charles and James Brown, and like all those people singing, that was amazing. And when we were little, we also had the CD of all the songs. And so when we were home, my sisters and I, we'd put it on the stereo upstairs and we'd be like dancing around all of the songs. And we actually made like certain dances to different ones. And so I just really liked the movie because of the music, really. And it was fun. My dad quotes this movie all the time. So
we're on a mission from God.
Yeah. We're on a mission from God.
It's not how he says it, though. No. He says it with a Chicago accent.
Those Illinois Nazis.
What?
It's those Illinois Nazis.
I hate Illinois Nazis. I had never seen this movie before, Elyse.
I know.
I'd never seen it.
It was one of your movie holes, so I'm glad that I was able to fill that.
Yeah, fill that hole, baby.
Why did I do that?
I don't know. I
don't know.
I gave you a look. I watched you walk up to the precipice.
I know.
I gave you the look.
And then I thought about changing it to the puzzle piece.
You just fucking jumped. And I
should
had
have
to.
changed it to the puzzle piece.
I really wasn't going to do it, but then you set it up for me so beautifully.
I know.
I just had to.
I knew it. I knew where you were going. It's because I've been around you for too long.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. What did you think of the movie?
I loved it.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, like there were so many surprising, like, of course, like I feel like through osmosis, you basically know who the Blues Brothers are, just like through pop culture. But I was shocked at how just fun this movie was from start to finish. The guest stars like completely kept blowing me away. Like I think it starts with James Brown.
And you're like, oh my gosh.
I was like, is
that James Brown?
Is that like the real James Brown? It's like, yeah. And then Aretha comes on, and then Ray Charles is there, and you're just like, holy shit. How did they get these people to do this movie? And
they were on a mission from God.
Yeah, from Gad.
Josh Gad?
Yeah. No, it was such a fun movie. I remember exactly why John Belushi was like such this star he was, because he just has this effortless absurdity to him. Like, and it's so funny to compare him to the guy in my movie, in Tommy Boy, Chris Farley, because like they are the big fat guy comedians that were on SNL, but their style of comedy
is completely different.
Even though they sometimes both do slapstick, but like Belushi's version of slapstick is just like a calm, like fall into it type of thing.
It's that
where
subtle, cool.
Yeah, where Farley is trying very hard, and I think Farley is funny, and we'll get to that movie in a bit. But this is I think this is a type of movie that ages so well because it's just consistently funny.
It has classic songs in it that people are drawn to, so that doesn't date it. And then it's just like, even with their wardrobe choice, their suits are just classic. Like the movie's classic just through and through,
right.
And so
and the comedy,
and then the comedy is good too. And it's just very subtle. It's
not even that subtle.
It's the type that I like though, to where it's like it's funny because it's not trying to be funny. It's just it's very much. It is because they wrote it, but
it's very much that early SNL type of comedy where it's just like it's absurdist in that it's playing it straight. The perfect example of this to me is when Carrie Fisher's character comes out and blows up the building, and they just get out of the rubble, they just dust themselves off, and they just walk off screen, and that is like just of such a subtle way of playing the comedy that just it is timeless. It is this like absurdist type of comedy that just works. I mean, the entire end of the movie is this giant police chase where all they're trying to do is just get a check
to Steven Spielberg,
who ends up being Steven Spielberg, which was another like holy shit moment for me when I was like, what is that, Steven fucking Spielberg? But
this movie's got Steven. This movie's got Aretha. It's got James. It's got John. It's got Dan. It's got everyone you'd want to have.
I mean, every member of the Blues Brothers band is like a real blues musician. So it's crazy to me. And
I think that speaks also to the popularity of Saturday Night Live at the time.
Sure.
And I think there are certain people too nowadays that have gotten their, start on Saturday Night Live and have the same sort of notoriety in, the Hollywood world, and they can kind of get some people like that. But I think this, at the kind of initial heyday of it all, just put it all together and just kind of set it out on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they crashed 100 cars for this movie. I mean, they wrecked so many cars.
Yeah.
Like the production for this was huge. I mean, they were actually filming in Chicago. There's a scene when they're driving under the elevated train, and they're going like, that had to have been a real shot. They had to have like closed a section of the street under the elevated bridge, because they're like flying along at what has to be 100 miles an hour under this bridge. And it's like the production budget that went into this thing. This is very much not just like, comedies are so different nowadays, where it's just very much like put funny people on a camera and have them improvise scenes, and then it'll be funny, it'll be great. And all the people in this movie are improvisational comedians, because these are all Second City guys. But
it's also an action movie.
Well, the movie doesn't record. It's a movie
action.
Like very little of the comedy of the movie comes from the dialogue. There are very funny lines in it, but it's just not that type of comedy. It's not that type of movie, and I think it works so well. Carrie Fisher has this tiny bit part in this movie that is excellent. She's so fantastic in it as Belushi's ex-wife or lover, who just wants to. I don't think she even has a name in this movie. I think she's just like unknown mystery woman. Here it is in IMDb, mystery woman. It's just everything about it works. Everything about it. This was a wonderful movie. I loved every second of it, from the opening shot where we see Belushi getting out of prison to the end when they're back in prison. I just loved it all. I really did.
Good. I'm glad.
I'm
We'll
very
rewatch
happy.
it.
Yeah.
Because we own it and we rented it because we forgot that we owned it.
We definitely did that.
It's
That's
okay.
embarrassing. But yeah, I'm so thrilled we got to watch this movie. So
I'm glad you liked it.
that is the Blues Brothers. Are we ready to talk about my movie?
Yeah.
All right. So
15 years later.
15 years later, a lot has changed in comedy.
Yeah.
I picked Tommy Boy. This was written by Bonnie Turner and Terry Turner, and directed by Pete Siegel, who has done a bunch of other Adam Sandler films. He was kind of like Adam Sandler's director guy for a while there. Yay.
Smart choice, man. Yeah.
So this movie, after his auto parts tycoon father dies, the overweight, underachieving son teams up with a snide accountant to try and save the family business. So this is the Chris Farley movie. David Spade also co-stars. Rob Lowe is in this movie as well. A very young-looking Rob Lowe. Tommy Boy.
Yeah. Tommy Boy. Why'd you pick Tommy Boy?
So here's the thing. Young Scott
Yeah.
thought Tommy Boy was hilarious. I loved Chris Farley. I thought he was so funny. Tommy Boy and Black Sheep are two movies I could have watched over and over again. And young Scott even liked Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison, movies that Chris Farley co-starred in. Like, these were I was 10 years old when this movie came out. This was the SNL year where I really discovered SNL. So these were the episodes of SNL that I was watching, like the cast that I was watching, and the people I knew. So when they started making movies, I was really into these movies. And I think there is this slapstick in this movie is very funny when you're 10 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
when you're 10.
The thing that I couldn't...
How old are you now?
That's unnecessary. I'm like explaining right now why I do not think this movie works as an adult at all. Why I don't think this movie ages very well at all.
To continue.
Because it's just not funny anymore. Like, Chris Farley's stick gets old very quickly. And I was shocked at how little this movie worked on me. Like, at how we were going through all the big scenes that I love. I thought David Spade having to vacuum up the moths that Chris Farley left in was hilarious. There was one thing in this movie that really made me laugh still, and that was fat guy in a little coat. I still think that's hilarious. But man,
Sorry.
So go ahead.
Is this the first time that you've seen it in a long time?
Yes.
Okay.
This is the first time I've sat down and watched it.
So it was like thoroughly Modern Millie experience for you, to where it was like something that you remember fondly.
Yeah.
And then you watch it back and you're like, oh.
But I think there's part of me that probably already knew that, because I mean, you're gonna grow up sometime. Like, I think there are very few comedies that I think really age very well that you liked as a kid.
The Blues Brothers is one.
I can't speak to that.
Oh. What's one that has aged well for you?
Ghostbusters.
Okay, that's true. Anything else?
I just think it's so fascinating
The
to me.
Princess Bride.
Sure.
Marriage.
It's so fascinating to me how like comparing these two movies are big SNL casts of their time and how much the landscape of humor has shifted in those times, because they're both, like I said, they're both slapstick movies. They are. These are heavily physical comedy films on both sides. One of them ages very well and one of them just looks stupid.
And I think it's okay. So first of all,
yeah, tell me what you thought of
Okay.
this movie, because you'd never seen it before.
so I had never seen Tommy Boy. It was one of my guy friends in high school's favorite movie, and he would always talk about it. And I would always hear Tommy Boy this, Tommy Boy that. And I never watched Tommy Boy. I just watched Bubble Boy, which I think is probably a lot better than Tommy Boy.
No.
But
Can confirm, no.
so I'd never seen it. Then I watched it, and I did not like it. This is like one of those things to where it just like almost pained me, because you saw how hard he was like trying in this movie to be funny, and it was just too much. It was like there comes a certain point where you trying too hard, when you have to try this much to get a laugh out of people and be funny, then you're not funny. And I mean, like, that was, I don't really watch, not very familiar with Chris Farley's stuff in general. Like, I just didn't watch his stuff at all. Didn't get into the whole SNL thing in 95 when he was big. I knew who he was just because I knew he was the SNL cast member that had died, and kind of like how I knew John Belushi was the SNL character who was on this that had died from drugs. Like, so I knew who he was in that sense, but I had never really known a whole lot about his comedy. And had I seen this, I would have just been like even more turned off from him. It was just, yeah, it just, I even like the fat guy in a little suit, that didn't even work on me. Nothing.
Fat guy in a little
It works better when you do it.
Fat guy in a little
But that's because I know you and you're singing it like that, and you actually look kind of
in a
funny.
little coat.
Yeah, but no. And I mean, like, I like David Spade in this more than I liked Chris Farley in this.
Yeah, I didn't even like David Spade in it this much this time.
Well, I mean, if I'm having to say someone that I like from it, I mean, I probably like Rob Lowe the best out of it, just because Rob Lowe is probably playing kind of close to who he really is. He's not a nice person.
Yeah.
He's very high maintenance, so I've heard in real life. But yeah, it was not my favorite. I think.
No, and I mean,
Yeah.
I think I still like it more than you do, probably. But
You probably do.
I'm not gonna fight you on this. It's not a good movie. I really don't think it is, and it's very shocking to me when you figure that out. You know, it's like, I can't believe, and I want to go back and visit all these mid 90s movies now and see how many of them I don't like. Like, I have not been a fan of Adam Sandler for a very long time, but I've always said, well, the early Sandler stuff was good. And now I'm like, but was it?
Well, and it doesn't surprise
Like,
me.
was Billy Madison
that-
actually a good movie?
Yeah, like the type of movie that Billy Madison is the type of movie that this is.
Yeah.
And so the fact that the director did, I don't know if he did Billy Madison. I know that he did 50 First Dates, and he did.
I don't think he did Billy Madison. I'm trying to remember who did that.
But it doesn't surprise me that the type of comedic actor that this director goes to is the type that Sandler and Chris Farley are, because
Right,
they're
I
the
mean-
type of people that it's just like they want to be a comedian, so they try to be funny, and it's just like some people are able to be funny with the subtlety and just telling the story, and those are the type of people that I like.
I mean, I do think Chris Farley was a funny person. He does have a different kind
Maybe
of humor.
I just need to see like something from SNL that he did that was actually funny. It's just I don't it was big and it was abrasive. And
I mean, that's his humor.
I don't like big and abrasive.
That's his humor style. He's
Okay.
like the big guy, and he kind of freaks you out with his commitment to the bit, because he's this big giant guy who's willing to like run around and throw himself around the set. That's kind of what his thing was. And that is definitely what this movie is built around this guy who is willing to throw himself and do ridiculous, always go big, always go big, was Chris Farley. And I think I'm not saying that I don't want to declare Chris Farley, Adam Sandler, or any of those guys. I don't want to declare the mid 90s of SNL not funny. I just think in this particular movie, it just doesn't work on me anymore. I've aged out of it. And I can guarantee you put this movie in front of a 10-year-old, he's going to find it hilarious. Like
Probably
like
so.
the whole bit where he's like, "Hey Richard, are you sure I don't have a mark on my face? It hurts right here. Not so much here or here, but right here." And there's like this giant fucking splotch on his face. I think that's hilarious when you're a kid because it's just nonsense. But I don't know. It doesn't hold me. And I think I'm like that with a lot of comedy. And there's probably one or two films of every generation that I think really stand the test of time. And no, unfortunately, Tommy Boy was not one of them. And now I'm wondering, because remember the other movie I thought was thinking about picking was Road Trip, which was a early 2000s comedy. It was not SNL players, but it was very much like a college, like lazy slacker comedy. And I'm wondering if I've aged out of those now too, where I'm like, this is just stupid. I think I'm always probably going to find Tom Green funny, so maybe not, but it was a very illuminating experience for me. And I was like, kind of like, I could tell that you were like worried because you weren't liking it. And you were like, oh,
I wasn't
God.
laughing. And I was like, am I supposed to be laughing at this? Are you laughing at this? Are you really
wasn't.
watching this? Do you like this? That's
Right.
what went through my head.
I could tell when you are stressing about things, and I could see that happening. And I was like, yeah, no, she's not going to get an argument from me here tonight. Because no, Tommy Boy, I'm glad I shared it with you because this was
I'm glad I watched it because I've heard a lot about it.
I mean, this was a big part of those years of my childhood. These type of movies, I thought these were hilarious. I loved these type of movies. I watched them again and again and again all the time. This was me and my friends would quote Tommy Boy. We'd quote Black Sheep. We'd quote Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore. All these type of movies we thought were just so fucking funny and would quote them back and forth to each other over and over again. So this is a big part of my childhood. So it was fun sharing it with you, but you can't go back again.
You can't.
You just can't do it.
I'm so glad that you've matured.
A little bit. Just a little bit.
I mean, enough to
Yeah.
realize.
Yeah.
I'm proud of that.
All right. Well, that is all we're doing this week. We're done.
That's it, folks.
Was that your Porky Pig impression?
No, it's not an impression.
Okay.
It's just a line.
Okay. Elyse, what are we doing next week? We resume our normal schedule. The episode's going to come out on Friday
What?
for reals this time.
Oh my gosh.
What are we doing?
So this next week on Thursday, I am going back to work.
Back to school.
Well, we're going back to school, but
That's work for you.
that's work for me. I don't have the kids. We aren't actually going to be in our school building because it's refurbished and it's not done yet. So I figure the only thing kind of similar to this is just going back to the office. Going back to work, like what you did and what a lot of people are probably doing after they take some summer vacation. So we are doing back to work, back to the office next week.
All right.
So I am going to be watching 9 to 5.
The Dolly Parton movie
Dolly Parton.
that I've never seen. I've never seen 9 to 5. It's one of those things that's been on my list for a long time. Most recently, 9 to 5 was featured in Deadpool 2 because I think it was that song that was playing when he...
Working 9 to 5. Yeah.
So everyone's been calling it that song from Deadpool, even though it's clearly that song from the movie 9 to 5.
Yeah, and they might have made it into a musical. I don't remember.
I'm sure they probably
a Broadway
did.
musical.
Probably did.
I don't remember.
All right. I am going to have you watch
a movie I have also never seen.
Office Space.
Yes.
The Mike Judge movie? Judge. Yeah. Office Space.
Yeah. Never seen it.
We'll fix that.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this. I think unlike Tommy Boy, I think
does this comedy
Office
hold up?
Space is going to be a movie that holds up.
Okay,
That's what
we're going to hope. When was the last time you saw it?
It's been a while.
Okay.
But also,
we shall see.
I saw it before I worked in an office, so I think the more you work in an office, the more the movie relates to you.
The quote, "A case of the Mondays" from this movie?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. All right,
I'm going to have a case of the Thursdays.
So that is it next week. Office work movies, because Elyse wants to be reminded of how terrible her life's going to be when she has to go back to work.
Mine's different. It's not really like office life.
Yeah. I am.
But I'll be reminded of how awful the place is that you go.
I'm going to be
right?
reminded by not getting breakfast every morning, and I'm going to be pretty bummed about it. I've enjoyed you making me breakfast every morning.
Well, the good news is that maybe I can still do that while we're just doing professional development days.
All
we'll
right.
have to see.
All right, guys, that's all for us this week. If you like this podcast, please consider subscribing to it on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher. It's YouTube. It's everywhere. You can subscribe to it just about everywhere. And
because it's everywhere you need.
Michelle Branch, right?
I don't know.
Or is that...
This is just a song. I just kind of changed the lyrics to fit with that.
And if you want to support us, you can head on over to patreon.com/dailyplanetfilms and give us $1 a month or whatever else you can afford. And guys, please take the time, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, to send us a rating or a review. Elyse wants to read them, and we haven't had any
I forgot
in a
about
while.
those.
So just to do that, please. Elyse.
Yeah.
It was good getting to sit down with you and do this again. It's been
good
getting
to talk to you again.
It's been too long.
Yeah,
we don't really communicate at all outside of this.
It's true.
Hey, Elyse.
What?
I love you.
I love you too.
Why was that? Oh, there's a question mark at the end of
I
that.
love you too. It's not a question. It's a statement.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
2, 3, 4. We're so glad to see so many of you lovely people here tonight. We would especially like to welcome all the representatives of Illinois' law enforcement community who have chosen to join us here in the Palace Hotel Ballroom at this time. We certainly hope you all enjoy the show. And remember, people, that no matter who